So there's something I want to talk about, and that's the rise of cinematics in video games and why it's both a good thing and a bad thing. You see, older games were just not able to handle a lot of things on screen at once, so cutscenes and special effects are very limited in scope. Nowadays though, those limitations are almost entirely gone, and are even nearing the point now where video games can look almost indistinguishable from real life. What might have been an entire development team in the 90s could now be working exclusively on animations. Now, cutscenes have been around for a very long time, but they're now a lot more dynamic than they once were. Acting, camera work, motion capture, and more have vastly improved over time. It's led to a lot of people being more accepting of video games as an art form. It wasn't so long ago that video games were looked down upon as something for children, which is a big part of why games like Doom were so controversial at the time. Shooting, blood, demons in my kids' game? Oh no. Nowadays, this is not so much of a hot button issue, though there's still of course going to be a few upset people here and there, as there will be for everything. But it was the social media explosion of the late 2000s that really brought games into the mainstream. Games have really evolved nowadays, where dynamic action is being fed to you on a consistent basis, and some things that might have once been relegated to a cutscene are now fully playable. We're starting to approach a golden era where the full potential of games as an art form might be realized. But this isn't entirely a good thing. Now that games are being taken seriously, people who take themselves seriously are also here too. People who demand that you experience their masterpiece the way they intend. But you see, there's a big difference between a video game and a movie, painting, or book, and that is the player is an active participant in the experience. It's surprisingly common in modern games to take control away from the player to ensure that you see what the game's director wants you to see. This stripping of control can trigger a psychological response called reactance. It's the same kind of feeling you get when your parents tell you to do something you don't want to do. In short, you get frustrated or angry that your choices are being limited, even if you would have chosen to do the same thing that you're being told to do anyway. While some games will evoke this response intentionally, most of the time it's a byproduct of the game's hand-holding. Here's an example in Resident Evil 4 Remake. You need to pass through the village square to reach the church on the other side, but when you try to cross, the tower collapses along the path and you have to make your way around. When the tower collapses, the game takes control of your camera and forces you to look at it as it falls. This will happen despite the fact that the level is already designed to funnel you towards seeing the scene. Now, admittedly this isn't so bad, especially on your first playthrough, but if you're trying to play the game quickly, it can be frustrating to not be able to see where you're going, especially since the game's context-sensitive controls only work when you're looking the right way. More importantly though, it's a troubling change of attitude, where the gameplay experience takes a back seat to the story and visuals. Interrupting gameplay to show cinematics isn't exactly new. The timing and style is everything, as well as if they can be skipped or not. Though to be honest, some games feel like the gameplay itself might as well be skippable. There's a lot of times where I play a game like The Last of Us, and I think, this isn't really enhanced by being a video game. And given the critical acclaim of the TV series, I think I'm right. There was only one moment that I felt like the gameplay might have mattered in The Last of Us. And in the end, it didn't. During the sniper scene, I was able to shoot the clicker before I attacked Sam, though it only died after I attacked him. Theoretically, you could have saved both the brothers without changing the overall story, but that's just a missed opportunity, I guess. What separates games from other art forms is interactivity. After all, it's hard to argue that something is a game if it can't be played, right? The player is an integral part of the experience that can't be compared to the viewer of a movie. When you minimize this aspect of your game, you're missing out on the whole point of making your project a video game. A really nice positive example of interactivity is an indie game called Hypnospace Outlaw. This is a game about exploring the fictional internet of 1999, and its story would not really be possible to convey in a book or movie. You're expected to read the pages, search keywords, and solve cases entirely at your own pace, and that's great. It's an exploratory experience that can only really be a video game. And beneath the cheesy exterior is a story that has more heart and maturity than any of David Cage's digital experiences. To be fair to David Cage though, he does try to make his games with player choice in mind, even if it makes plot holes in doing so. After all, Mass Effect and Telltale went under when their choices didn't matter anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that story-based games are bad. They're a great gateway into the gaming scene, and the writing more often than not holds up. If you wanted to ease someone into playing video games, that would probably be a good choice. In the end though, cinematics are going to keep getting better, and I hope we'll see some great changes without losing what makes video games special. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them below and I'll try my best to respond. In any case, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.